Call the meeting to order. Would everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Georgie, would you roll call, please?
Councilmember Garola? Here. Mayor Pro Tem Villaseñor?
Here.
Mayor Austin?
Here.
Councilmember Brogy?
Here.
Councilmember Mendez?
Here. Okay, we'll move on to approval agenda.
So moved, Mayor.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion. I have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Moving on to item number 5, public comments. I'm trying to sort through them real quick. Maria, what do you want to speak on?
What do I want to speak on?
Yeah.
Speak on my behalf, library books, to public.
Just public? Okay.
Yes, public.
Your grandkids? Anything? No?
Have one. You want to see a picture? Hey. Put it up right now? Yes, yes.
Okay.
I got a few things.
Okay, our first speaker is Tracy Stewart.
Oh, not you, Marie, sorry.
Nope, Marie. I was just... You're next, Marie.
Hi, good evening, Council. My name's Tracy Stewart. I approached you some months ago about the rail car storage issue that we have just west of town, and I wanted to give you a brief update on what's transpired. On December 1st, Ventura County Transportation Commission had their monthly meeting, and at that meeting, they voted to approve the First Amendment to the contract they have between themselves and Sierra Northern Railway to move the rail cars further west, I guess I should say, of Fillmore, just west of 7th Street. And I just wanted to let you know that I wanted to publicly thank Carrie Brogy, who had a huge hand being part of the ad hoc committee with the Ventura County Transportation Commission, who worked tirelessly along with my fellow neighbors, Tim and Amy Garola, Bob and Susan Jolly, myself, and some others, that we did not give up. We were relentless. We attended monthly meetings with Ventura County Transportation Commission, as well as coming and speaking to you all about the situation. And so I just wanted to let you know that they are supposed to be moved by the end of the year. January 1st is the deadline. And I just wanted to give you an update and say thank you for having the residents back. And I appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, now you, Marie. And I forgot to say, you have 3 minutes. When you have 30 seconds, it starts flashing red, so.
In 30 seconds?
No.
Don't start
You
it
have
yet.
3 minutes. I haven't started yet. You
Don't-
ready?
wait,
Ready?
no.
Ready?
No.
Ready? Go.
No, wait. It takes me a little longer to find my,
Okay, well, I'm still waiting.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Good evening, Council. Thanks for having me. My name's Marie Staley Alvis. I've been a resident here for 64 years. Shoot! I forgot my show and tell. I was going to bring a library book that I found at the library, but anyways, I'll tell you about it. This book I found in the children's section of the library. It's called Granddad's Camper, and it's about an elderly gay man and his grandchild walking down memory lane, remembering his late partner. Innocent enough. It's very important for us to remember our people that we care about. But the sequel to the book is not so innocent. It is about a grandchild organizing a pride parade in their little town in order to get people to celebrate diversity. Front and center of the book are 2 men dressed in bondage attire kissing as they walk in the parade. There are several other pictures and symbols in the book, but you get the idea. Accepting everyone as they are, gay or straight, comes natural to children unless they're taught otherwise. But making a concerted effort to tell people that they should celebrate diversity is a very different thing. Why? because celebrating diversity implies that anyone who's accepting but not celebrating is somehow bigoted, which is nonsense. I know that the City Council has nothing to do with the books that are in the library. I bring it up here tonight for two reasons. I want parents to know about this. I want them to be involved in the library and what's happening in our community. And just as important, I want City Council to understand that the issues we face today require extreme diligence by our leaders. The library books are just an example of why people with traditional religious and family values feel unsupported. Oh dear. Okay, very good. Unsupported and even attacked by the very institutions that should be helping parents keep cultural confusion and noise at bay. We very earnestly hope and pray that the next mayor will be somebody who's going to keep Fillmore a safe place for children and families. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to item number 6, City Council reports, recommendations, and comments. Your public comments on 8B. Luann?
I would like to do it during public comment,
Okay.
not on the agenda item.
Well, it is an agenda item, so,
I do believe I have the right to do it during, no? Okay, I'll wait.
Wait, I had a public comment and an agenda item.
okay,
That has nothing to do with AP.
okay. It says 8B too, Brandy.
I know, because I want to speak on that also.
Okay.
Are you calling her up?
What did you say? What did you say?
I said I had something to say on 8B as well, but this public comment has nothing to do with that.
Okay.
All right.
Brandy, I'm sorry, can you tap that microphone? Is it? Oh, thank you.
Yep.
It's working.
Okay.
All right, Brandy Hollis, I just wanted to thank you guys for the Light Up the Tree event. I thought it was really nice with the big bulb. Thank you for adding lights to the fence. I think it looks a lot better. Hopefully it can be improved in the future, but I just wanted to say what a nice event it was, how many people came out, how many people loved the bulb, and that they can go back and take pictures at their own free will, and I love to see the community come together for the Christmas trees downtown. It's so neat to be able to see what organization is at each tree, and I just, I'm starting to pose it now, and I know a lot of organizations are excited to possibly have a contest next year, a decorating contest, so hopefully we can get that together, and I just wanted to come up here and say thank you guys.
Thank you. Okay, now we're going to move on to item number 6, City Council reports, recommendations, and comments.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Chris.
I just like to follow up just discussion that I brought up the last meeting about adding as a future agenda item the consideration for a city charter, especially considering just the unknown options that we didn't have time to explore regarding alternatives to one of the future items on the agenda. But then not just that, but obviously there's several other options, and to maybe have a city report on what that might look like, and then open it up for future discussion.
Okay, I'm in for that. Anybody else?
Definitely.
Okay, so we got 3. We'll put on the agenda.
Okay.
Christina?
Okay, thank you, Mayor. I do have a couple of comments. One is echoing Brandy Hollis's comments that thank you everyone who has just been a part of the holiday spirit, along with the trees on Central, all the organizations who participate in that, the tree lighting ceremony, the vendors night market. It was a great evening. So thank you to staff, thank you to all the volunteers, public works staff. The ornament looks fantastic, and I see that the crowd keeps growing every year. So I hope it continues to do so. I do have a recommendation. I'd like for council to, I guess, put this as an agenda item on a regular basis for this upcoming year, and that is to receive a regular monthly update on the status of our park improvements. Where are we with the dog park? how are the grant applications going? Are any grant results coming back in? Where are we with the Two Rivers Park improvements, shields, et cetera? Where are we on the play area shades, contracted getting those erected? I know that we've had quite the pivot this year to address the pressing emergency of the sewer line break. But now, as phase 1 wraps up, phase 2 gets moving and we're regrouping, I'd like there to be more transparent accounting of the parks improvements and see how it's moving. I think this helps to keep staff accountable. It helps to keep us as council members accountable to the community and all the residents who've been asking and waiting and wanting to see improvements in all these areas. So I'm just suggesting a regular monthly update, perhaps a city manager's report. Doesn't have to be every 2 weeks, but maybe the fourth Tuesday, so we can kind of hear what happened that month on parks.
That's what I was going to suggest. We could just do it as part of the city manager report.
Yeah, I think that'd be good.
Dave, is that okay? Okay.
Okay. All right, got support on that one? Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. Seeing none, we're going to move on to item number 7, consent calendar. I'll entertain a motion or pull an item.
Okay, I move to adopt.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Before we second, I just have one comment with regard to the warrant list, beginning on page 7. We're losing text in a column all the way through the rest of the warrant report. And I don't know how significant it was, but it looks like a column is being cut off. The middle column reference, check date reference, is the title on the column, I think. So anyway, just FYI for future reference, or maybe we could get another one printed out and review it later on. Otherwise, I'll make a second.
Okay, I have a second. I have a motion. I have a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Actually, before you guys vote, Councilmember Gorilla has an announcement.
Yeah, so I'll vote to approve and abstain from 7K as a conflict of interest in the area.
Thank you.
Okay. We have a motion, we have a second, we have an abstain on one of it. Do we all approve it? Yes?
Yes.
Yes, yes?
Yes.
Okay. Jennifer, you just handed in a card. We already passed public comment. Item number 5.
Well, that seems kind of difficult. Not everyone can get here exactly at 6:30. I'll try my best.
Tiffany?
I didn't expect it to go that quickly.
I'm going to go ahead and reopen the public hearing for you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
I'm going to go ahead and reopen the public meeting for you, and then I'll close it right away, okay? So go ahead. You're up here now, right now.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor Austin and City Council. My name is Jennifer Thomas. I've lived in Fillmore for 23 and a half years with my husband, Michael, on 3rd Street. Thank you again. It is not easy to be here. People I care about will be angered by my taking the position I express here tonight, but here it is. Less than 2% of human beings are born physically androgynous. And eventually, if they live in a scientifically sophisticated society and with the economic means, they may elect surgery or hormone treatment to resolve the sexual ambiguity. Persons who do so are entitled to all the sympathy and support their community can give them. Regarding 98% of humanity who are clearly born into one sex or another, some, without biological basis, claim they are actually members of the opposite sex. Some may choose to dress in the typical clothing of the opposite gender, and of course, they have the right to do so. While many of these people are sincere, cross-dressing has become a social fad. Others who take more radical steps, such as hormone injections and radical surgery, in order that they may look and sound as much as possible like the opposite sex, regardless of the serious lifelong consequences, have the legal right to make that choice if they're adults, however misguided it may be. The vast majority of young children, however, have no need to be exposed to such examples. Certainly, our public schools have no need or right to do so at taxpayer expense. Sigmund Freud, who was the founder of modern psychology, was very wrong about very many things, but he was not wrong in positing the period of sexual latency in young children from toddlerhood up to puberty. That is, children, the sexual impulse in children and sexual identification is rather submerged to some extent because their brains need to develop in all kinds of other more essential ways. I've taught school for nearly 40 years, and several of those years working with students of various socioeconomic classes, ages 5 to 13. For the last 25 years, I've worked with students 13 to 18 years old, and the differences between the two groups is both obvious and profound. The brains of young children are and should be occupied with learning motor coordination skills, spatial awareness, color and shape recognition, exploring the natural world. They should be learning how to share their toys, to play cooperatively with others, to form friendships, to help with household chores, to listen and tell stories, to show respect for their parents and the wisdom of their grandparents. They should be learning to show kindness and courtesy to everyone around them. Finally, they should be learning that they are not the center of the universe.
You need to wrap it up.
I'm wrapping up, promise you. And their emotions, while they feel real, are not necessarily reality itself. This is the end. It's ironic that so many of those who during the pandemic insisted on their belief in science are jumping on the virtue signaling bandwagon concerning transsexuality. These people are ignoring basic biology. I'll skip down to the to the end. Public institutions should not be using taxpayer money to inculcate our youth in these socio-political opinions. Thank you very much.
Okay, we're going to move on to we're going to go back down to item number 8A, which is our fifth public hearing to receive input regarding the adoption of district-based election systems and adoption of an ordinance establishing district boundaries and election sequencing and adoption of exemption from CEQA. I'd like to say there's a translator here if you need it for Spanish speakers. Okay, with that, we're going to open up to the consultant, I believe.
Yeah.
Dave?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll call up Kristen Parks with the National Demographics Corporation.
Hello all. I don't have a presentation for you this evening, but for the benefit of members of the public, I'd like to share that as we discussed at the fourth public hearing, we did modify map 102, which was Mr. Garola's map, to bring it into legal compliance by moving 3 census blocks, 2 that were densely populated and 1 that had 0 population. And so this map has been posted online for at least 7 days, and this map is titled 102B, so if you're looking on the website, that's what you're looking for, and it has a total population deviation of 6.93%, that's all. I'm just here if you have questions, so
Okay.
Thank you.
Any questions? Okay.
I just have one follow-up question. It wasn't particularly what you presented on, but we did discuss the census blocks and what the future of that might look like. Have you been able to find any information that you can direct us towards for seeking out improving those, as we saw the ones that kind of wrap around entire neighborhoods and kind of mess things up a little bit?
Yes, so we'll send you that information, although no guarantees that there's a lot of traction you'll get, but certainly there is a way for you to put in a request to modify certain census blocks that no longer reflect the population trends in your city. So we'll send you that.
Okay, thank you.
I had one follow-up question too, Mayor. Thank you. In the map that we're looking to adopt, there's sort of I don't have it right in front of me. I think I must have left it at home. But there's a little, a bit of the area that covers the bridges. It's sort of like a panhandle that comes into the district, like the Riverwalk district.
Yeah.
And I guess I just wanted to make a point that over time, when we actually the whole Bridges area is actually counted, the population that's come in since 2020, it's likely that that district will fill up and maybe things will shift at the next, if we continue to have districts at the next redistricting. And maybe these sort of panhandles and things might be able to be a little bit more square, rectangle. Is that?
Yeah, absolutely. So just in terms of the way that map 102B is constructed, the least populated district here is District 1, and then the second least populated is District 4 that you're referring to, and it's at it's slightly underpopulated now. If it keeps growing significantly, it may be something that will need to be modified to be brought back into compliance in 2031. But yeah, so maybe I'll see you in 2031. But maybe you'll go a different direction and have a charter. So
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, with that, I'm going to open the public hearing and call our speaker, Marissa Rodriguez.
Hi. So the reason why I did a public comment, I've heard that the district is the North Fillmore is being divided for the district. Honestly, I disagree on that. I just wish that North Fillmore should not be divided and has its own district and not be divided. It seems a little unfair that North Fillmore is being divided. So I had a little bit of a glance on certain council meetings via the website, and I'm not understanding why it's being divided instead of not as one.
Interrupt your mayor. Okay. I just wanted to let you know, Marissa, I don't want to interrupt you, but in the map that we're looking to adopt, Councilmember Garola's map, North Fillmore is actually, we were looking at other maps before that did have North Fillmore divided in different ways, but this one is actually pretty whole. It's all of North Fillmore, everything from A Street and the Telegraph, this big triangle includes Dolores, includes the park, includes even new development that could happen up by Good Enough Road.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so it did get changed from probably a map that you looked at previously.
Okay, good. I was like, that was just my concern is just like, it should have not have been divided in the first place. But I'm glad that was being updated. So that's all I had to say.
With that, we're going to close the public hearing.
Thank you.
Close the public hearing and open up to council.
For all of you, most of you that are in the room have been following this from day one, the districting. And I think we've shared, most of us from the dais, how complicated and how devastating this was for us to try to deal with, how we've been digging in our heels, not wanting to do this, trying to find a different route to go. And I know that, speaking for myself and a few of you in the room, I know we spent hours and hours and hours in researching, trying to figure out how to not go down this road. But the one thing that I do want to remind everybody is that two things. Number one is the odds of us beating a lawsuit is, I think, insurmountable. When you look at the statistics, nobody's won the lawsuit. It hasn't happened. So we have the option of either spending a lot of Fillmore's finances, which are earmarked for other things for the community, or fighting the lawsuit. And one of the advantages from my perspective, the third issue, let me add this, is the time constraint we had to do this. We received the letter in end of August, was that right? I think, the end of August, and we had a quick time frame. We had to do A, B, C, and D all the way down the road. And we had to meet these time deadlines, or we would run afoul of what was going on, the entire process. And there'd be penalties for anything that we tried to do. So it put us in a bind. We had to do things quickly. I don't think the entire community understood how quickly we had to get this done. And then the last point I want to make is that the division, read it instead of just try to tell you here. If we do not pass this and agree to go this route with the districting, and we end up with a lawsuit filed against us, we have no option after that. We can't make any changes after that. We don't have the option of going to a charter city. We are stuck with what we have if a lawsuit comes our way. A lawsuit that in I would say 99.9% possibility we would lose, and we wouldn't be able to make any changes. This way, by agreeing to go down this road and agreeing to doing it in advance of being served with a lawsuit, then we have the option down the road, once we get some breathing room behind us, come January, February, start looking at other options. And as Councilmember Garola pointed out earlier, we want to bring back a review of looking at being a charter city, and also any other options that we can fathomably come up with. But if we stop it here and we decide to not comply, we don't have that option of doing anything different come the deadline in January. So I just wanted to make that point. I hope that was clear. And that's the reason I'm voting the way that I'm voting. Thank you.
I'd just like to comment that there was a lot of different opinions about whether this process was right for Fillmore from the outset. I don't think it's necessarily the best fit, but I hope that we can make the best of a situation that was thrust upon us. Most importantly, though, and what it really is, my mom is white, so anybody who says that I'm Hispanic, I'm both white and Hispanic. I'm 50-50. But there's so many people in town that are that way, that carry a Hispanic name that don't necessarily appear to be Hispanic, or vice versa. And my mom, although she lives outside city limits, is a minority in this town, which is odd for, not maybe a federally recognized minority, but we have a majority, what would be considered a minority town. And so we really are special. So anybody who tells you that Fillmore isn't special, that we don't fit, or that we should fit perfectly into this process, I really don't think we do. And that's why I'd really like to explore what the future holds, more so than just saying that this is the way to do it, especially not in a 90-day time frame that we were forced to operate in.
Anybody else? I'm going to say that the reason we're looking at a charter is so we can reverse some of this. I mean, that is the exact reason we're going to go down and look at the charter. I don't like this at all. I never have from day one. I thought it was a wrong fit for Fillmore. I thought it made no sense whatsoever. It still doesn't make sense to me. But anyway, I'm, where we're at. Anybody else? Okay, I'd like to entertain a motion.
Okay. I will make a motion to receive the report from the City Consultant National Demographics Corporation. We received the community input on the draft maps and adopt an ordinance to establish district boundaries and election sequencing and an exemption from the California Environmental Quality CEQA.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion. I have a second. Georgie, will you roll call, please?
Councilmember Garola?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Villasenor?
Yes.
Mayor Austin?
No.
Councilmember Brogy?
Yes.
Councilmember Mendez?
No.
Okay, we'll move on to item number 8B, selection of the 2024 mayor and mayor pro tem. What I'm going to do is we're going to let Erica come up and give her presentation, then we'll go to public comments, then I'll give it back to her to do nominations, okay? So that's how it's going to work, so go ahead with your presentation, Erica.
Good evening, council members and residents. Thank you for providing that disclaimer. So right now we are requesting City Council to select the 2024 Mayor and Mayor Pro Tem. So as a representative of the City Clerk's office, I will be asking City Council to nominate a council member to serve as mayor for next calendar year. And then there has to be a motion and the majority needs to support that for that to pass. If no motion is received, then we go back into the same process. Once the mayor is elected, then the new mayor will be providing recommendations for the mayor pro tem, and then each council member will provide a vote. So that concludes my presentation. I believe we have members of the public that would like to speak on this item, so I will be up after you call the mayor. Thank you.
First speaker is Luann Brock.
Good evening, council members. I'm here to speak tonight on the subject of voting for the next mayor of Fillmore. While I recognize that oftentimes the mayor pro tem is considered next in line, that is not a mandatory decision. I would like to appeal to all members of the council to consider the following suggestion. We have just witnessed over the last few months the council being forced to move to voting districts, despite objections by most of the community who participated in public comments. In light of this forced move, as I have stated publicly 3 times, this move has adversely affected Chris Garola more so than any other member of the council. Keeping in mind that Councilmember Garola garnered more community votes than anyone running in the recent council race, indicates that the community was sending a message that they were putting trust in him to be a part of running our city. And now, as a result of a baseless lawsuit, his opportunities are cut short versus other council members. Therefore, I believe that the right action to take tonight would be to nominate Councilmember Garola for mayor and give him the opportunity to show this community that their votes mattered. May I respectfully suggest that if you are in the audience and are not planning to speak tonight to this issue, and if you support this idea, please silently raise your hand. Thank you.
Okay, next speaker is Hannah Ellison.
Good evening, Council. My name is Hannah Ellison. I'm here today on behalf of Assemblymember Steve Bennett to recognize outgoing Mayor Mark Austin. So I'm just going to quickly read our little certificate. In deep appreciation and recognition of your forthright and sincere commitment to public service to the City of Fillmore and its residents. Commendations are conveyed for your unwavering dedication and steadfast leadership to our community and across the broader Santa Clara River Valley. Congratulations.
Thank you. You can take a picture of this in front of my face, huh? Next speaker is Brandy Hollis. I already started your time, Brandy. Thought you were already up here.
All right. First of all, thank you, Mark Austin, for your service to the community. I'm sure you've gone through enough. I would also like to say, taking the job and position of mayor, you're already a representative of the city, but you are more a direct representative. And I hope that whoever you guys decide to nominate tonight is somebody that is going to speak for our city with integrity, with discretion, humility. There's nothing wrong with making mistakes and owning up to them and changing them. I've just seen some things this year that still blow my mind, and there's been nobody, hey, maybe that was a bad decision, we shouldn't have been there, stuff like that. So I hope whoever it is, that they take that job very seriously. Any proclamations they may sign in the name of inclusivity. Remember, when you decide to be inclusive of one certain person, you may exclude others. So inclusivity is not always what it seems. So if you can't do one thing for somebody, you can't do it for anyone. So I just hope whoever's the mayor remembers that the role that they hold is very important, and they take it with absolute pride and think of the entire community. So good luck, and whoever that may be, but thank you, Mark, for your service again. Thank you.
Last speaker is Michelle Mejia.
Good evening. I'm here to actually speak for Shell Michael. He's out of town at the moment. He said, I know that a new mayor is to be voted in, and I ask that you would consider Chris Garola as the next mayoral candidate. He shows us that he can be nonpartisan and makes choices that benefit all of Fillmore. He's not working off a personal agenda, and he showed us this while working through the redistricting and coming up with wonderful alternatives. I do not believe anyone else on council would be suited for this position as him. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to turn it back over to Erica.
Thank you, Mayor. So if you would like to make a nomination.
I nominate Chris Garola.
I would like to respectfully nominate Carrie. And out of respect for just the time, I know everybody here knows that I have a family, 5 mouths at home, including my wife, who runs the household. Not as an excuse, but just as a consideration that Mayor Pro Tem might be a better position for my family.
I'll second that.
I'd like to nominate Cristina Villaseñor.
There was
There's
a motion and a second,
and
then there was debate. And so, Mayor, I'm confused by your comment. Are you revising your motion
I'm pulling my motion from Chris and
revise
putting
it?
to Carrie.
Okay, and so then we need someone, Carrie, do you second that revision of the mayor's motion?
We have a first from Chris Garola, a second from me, and now we need a
Well, it
vote.
was your motion, so you need to revise your motion.
My vote or hers?
Yours.
Mine was to go with Chris Garola the first
Right.
time. I'm pulling that nomination, and I'm going to nominate to Carrie. So we have
Okay.
2 on Carrie.
Okay, well, it was your motion, so you need to revise your
Okay.
motion, and then.
I strike my motion.
Okay. So then Chris has a new motion and you second that. Okay, thank you.
Just for clarity, I nominate Carrie Brogy
I
as mayor.
second it. So do a roll call vote or whatever.
So Councilmember Mendez?
No.
Councilmember Brogy? Yes. Councilmember Mark Austin?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Villaseñor?
Yes.
Councilmember Garola?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So motion passes?
Yep.
Okay.
I'll vacate. I'm pulling the chair out for you. Come on, Carrie.
Well, I appreciate that. I feel like I am Mayor Pro Tem under Chris anyway, but that's okay. We'll get the job done. And so at this point then, Mayor Pro Tem, where are we? Okay, so now I will call for a motion for Mayor Pro Tem.
I nominate Chris Garola.
I'll second.
Okay, so I'll do the roll call. Councilmember Mendez?
Yes.
Councilmember Austin?
Yes.
Mayor Brogy?
Yes.
Councilmember Villaseñor?
Yes.
Councilmember Garola?
Yes.
Thank you. So, Mayor Brogy, I just respectfully ask that we take a short break so that you can allow us to rearrange the nameplates and the seating if you wish to do that as well.
So will 5 minutes, you think, suffice? Okay,
Yes, thank you.
Hi, Rollins. This is the first time I'm in my manual wheelchair. Yes, I know.
Push the button and go.
Hi, Carrie.
So you can see above the.
Yeah, I know. I still have it, but I didn't have it. Yeah. Thank you. Oh, thank you. I'm sorry. Go out this way. Okay, thank you. How's it going? Good. Good. Nice to see you. This item's up pretty quick.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm trying to make it's such a long agenda.
Okay, let's go one more minute and I'll reconvene the meeting. Okay, I'd like to reconvene the meeting now. We will move on to item 8B. I'm sorry, 8C, appointment to City Council committees, commissions, liaisons, and outside agencies.
Where's mine?
This is mine.
Thank you, Mayor Broggie. As you're aware, members of City Council serve on various City Council subcommittees, whether those be ad hoc or standing, and you also represent multiple you represent the City of Fillmore with various organizations within the county. And so tonight, you'll be volunteering yourself to potentially serve at new committees. The mayor will be making the appointment, and the council will either support that or not. I think the easiest way to do this is you do have on your staff report a calendar that we typically update, but I have a list, and so I would like to suggest that we go down the list. I will let you know who has been serving as the primary and the alternate, and then you can just decide who will be the new appointee for such committee. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the committees list. So for the Ventura County Animal Regulations, the primary has been Mark Austin. The alternate has been Chris Garola. So okay. Any alternates?
I'll go ahead and stay as the alternate. One thing that I think the communication on that committee has been pretty difficult in letting us consistently know when the meetings are, or if they are actually happening.
They're getting better, but supposedly the director is resigning now, so they're going to get a new director appointed, so we should probably get a little better communication.
Yeah, if we'd be able to reach out to the director just to reconfirm that those dates include correct.
I can do that. I sit on their staff commission, so whenever there's an email, I'll make sure to forward that so that you're both aware of it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so for the Air Pollution Control District, primary Carrie Broggie, alternate Albert Mendez.
That's incorrect.
No, yeah, it's the other way.
That's been incorrect. As a matter of fact, I don't think the APCD even allows an alternate, do they? But
I believe they do.
Albert has been
The primary?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like to stay on it. That's fine.
Okay.
Okay.
Ventura Regional Sanitation District, Christina Villaseñor is the primary and the alternate is Mark Austin.
I'm fine with that, aren't you, Christina?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Ventura County Transportation Commission, Carrie Broggie, and then they don't allow an alternate on that commission.
And I would like to retain that.
I'll support that.
Ventura Council of Governments, Carrie has been the primary, Albert has been the alternate.
I'm sorry, which one was that?
VCOG.
VCOG.
Yeah, and I would like to retain that one as well.
Okay. The Economic Development Collaborative, or EDC, primary Albert Mendez, alternate is Mark Austin.
I'm good with that.
And then the Ventura County Regional Energy Alliance, I have primary Christina Villaseñor and alternate Carrie Broggie.
I'm fine keeping that.
Okay, thank you. What about you, Carrie? Okay, thank you for that. So moving on to the standing committees, we do request from a staff position that you consider keeping at least one of the current council members who has been sitting on the ad hoc committees, just to provide continuation and for staff to be able to rely on your expertise as you sitting in that ad hoc committee, and then being able to share your wealth with your knowledge of wealth with the new member if there's any changes. So for the interview selection, I have Mark Austin and Carrie Brogy.
I'd like to be a member of that one.
Okay.
Doesn't the mayor have to sit on that?
The mayor sits on that one, and then if everyone's
I'm fine.
okay
So that one's going to Christina?
Yep.
with you.
Okay.
Ventura County City Selection Committee, I just want to make the statement that goes automatically to the mayor, so that will be going to Carrie Brogy. For the Utilities Ad Hoc Committee, we have had Carrie Brogy as one of the members and Christina Villaseñor.
I'm willing to hand that one off if somebody would like to take my seat on it.
I'd be willing to take that.
I'm sorry, can you repeat what committee this is again?
The Utilities Ad Hoc Committee.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can stay on that one.
Okay.
And I'd be willing to take Carrie's spot.
Okay. The Special School Board Ad Hoc, we currently have Chris Garola and Carrie Brogy.
I think it's staying the same unless you're
Yeah, I'm good.
considered for time. Yeah.
And then you also have to make a recommendation for the Fillmore Piru Basin Groundwater Sustainability Agency. As part of the staff report, we did include a resolution which we're required to send to the Board of the Clerk. So we currently have Albert Mendez sitting on it, and I think
I'll stay on it.
Okay. And then we have as the alternate Christina.
Sure.
Okay, for the economic development, primary has been Mark Austin, alternate has been Albert Mendez.
I don't mind staying on it.
If one of you is willing to yield, I would really like to try to join that.
It's yours.
All right, sounds good.
Since he wouldn't be mayor, right?
And finally, the budget ad hoc committee, we have Mark Austin and then Christina Villaseñor.
I'd like to keep us together. If it'd be
Yeah,
okay.
I'll stay.
I'll stay too.
Okay, perfect. So then if you could just make a motion of the appointments that you've requested this night, just to formalize it, and that concludes my presentation.
Do we have a motion?
I move to
Approve the
approve
updated
the updated standing committees and appointments
calendar.
as we just stated.
I second.
Okay.
Okay, but motion and a second, all in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you.
Motion passes. Thank you. Our agenda passes. Okay, so that was
8D.
C. We are moving on now to discussion and adoption of proposed 2024, no, we just did that one. Approval of the energy and water savings performance, item 8E, contract with Wilden Energy Solutions for water.
Mayor Brogy, it's actually the approval of the calendar. It's item 8D.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay.
So thank you.
8D, yes.
Thank you. So each year, the city council approves a calendar, which is published on the website. This year, we're proposing 20 meetings, which you received and they're listed there. We're just requesting your approval. We have had traditionally what we consider dark meetings. Those are in June, July, November, and December, which means we only meet the second Tuesday of the month, and we don't meet on the fourth Tuesday of the month. That concludes my presentation. I'm here to answer any questions.
Any questions from council?
I make a motion to approve this council calendar.
I'll second.
We have a motion, a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Nay. Hearing none, this motion passes. The meeting is approved, or scheduled.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we move on to 8E, the approval of the energy and water savings performance contract with Wilden Energy Solutions for water meter replacements and infrastructure upgrades. And turn it over to staff.
Hello, Mayor. It's a different look. Yeah, it's a different look. Good evening, City Council, citizens. Tonight we have Wildan Energy Solutions here to further discuss the not just the cost savings, but the benefit to the citizens and the customers for what they'll experience with the smart meter program. So we have Chris Gaddy here, and he's got a presentation to go over. So, do you know which one it is?
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Thank you for having me. Again, my name is Chris Gaddy. I'm Wildan's program manager for Water Meter Solutions. So again, today we're here to talk again to you about upgrade to the city's meter system. So currently, the city's meter system is hand-read using fairly old technology and operating with limited analytic capabilities, which is increasingly important in today's environment where water conservation is so critical. So when we began discussing this with your staff, a major objective was to define the goals for this infrastructure renewal. So enhancing the customer experience, delivering operating efficiencies, and driving water conservation, as well as increased billing accuracy were, sort of the top goals out of this. So what we did is we entered into a process to evaluate the technical needs of the city of Fillmore and define the right solution that fits and meets all of the requirements of your specific system. So we went through and we actually pulled meters out of the ground. We sent those to labs. We tested that. We dove in and evaluated your overall metering related infrastructure. We piloted different equipment, cellular technologies, and networking, customer portals. And overall, we developed and arrived at a technical solution that staff felt was a good fit for the city of Fillmore. So the technical recommendation is essentially a new cellular network with new solid-state meters. So these meters maintain their accuracy for the life, unlike the old type of meters. And the cellular capabilities will automate the reading process, which will provide huge operational efficiencies to the city, as well as enable a great deal of improvement to the customer experience, as I'll detail here in a second. So how does the AMI upgrade benefit the city? Well, there's a host of reasons, but most importantly, your infrastructure is in some cases up to 40 years old, well beyond the useful life. And so because of that, your staff can sometimes struggle to make sure that accurate information is going into the billing system. You're having to send technicians out to go and manually open each pit across the entire city every month and record that information. And so it's just, not the most efficient process. A new AMI system will make that automated, which will dramatically reduce fuel use, truck rolls, and will allow your city staff to focus on the customer experience and customer service. Some of the other things, the state is increasingly requiring more and more reporting on water conservation and water reductions and water losses. This is a challenge for many cities. And unfortunately, when you have a hand-read system like you do today, it can be very challenging for your staff to put together the reports needed to meet those requirements. So with the new system, you'll have real-time data access, and so your staff will be able to go in and create the reports they need, meet state requirements, and enhance city water conservation efforts. Most importantly, this system will greatly improve the customer experience. So your customers will essentially immediately upon installation be able to access a customer portal. And this is just sort of like your online banking. You can do it from your phone, you can do it from home, you can do it from anywhere at any time, and essentially log into this portal on a browser. And they'll be able to see significant details about their water usage. This is extremely important in today's environment because, water bills are, increasing, and so this allows them to take control of their bill. So for instance, one really great feature in this new system is that they can go in and set a threshold. So for instance, if they want to stay under a specific dollar amount on their water bill each month, the system, they can go in and they can set that, and the system can notify them if they're trending to exceed that. And it gives them enough time that they can actually rectify it. So today, if there's a problem, if there's a leak or something like that, they're not finding out about it until they've already received the bill, and there's no opportunity for them to change behavior or fix anything. The other major thing is that it's a customized notification process. They can not set a notification and just log in and review it, or they can get notified by text, email, phone, for any of the range of notifications that they can set up the system to alert them for. And finally, most importantly probably, it helps them identify leaks early. So most leaks start out small. You either have, maybe a leaky toilet or something small like that you don't see until it's caused damage, or irrigation, problems with the irrigation system that just go by and you don't notice for 30, 45 days till you get the next bill. And what this does is it'll notify them, hey, something's abnormal here, take a look, and what we see is when these systems are implemented, we see high bill complaints plummet. And a big reason is the people most concerned are also the ones who take the most advantage of the capabilities that these systems provide. So when working with staff, we wanted to develop a structure, a financial structure to fund this project that wouldn't compete with other capital improvement priorities. So there are a host of financial benefits to these systems. There are significant operating efficiencies I mentioned. There are improved accuracy of the meters. There's water conservation. And so what we found is that the total benefit of the project, the financial benefits of the project, actually outweigh the cost to implement the project over its life. As part of this the construction contract that's being under consideration tonight, Willdan actually guarantees that those benefits are going to be achieved. And when I say guarantee, if there is a shortfall from any given year and it's reviewed on an annual basis, then the city will be made whole by Willdan. So what this does is it provides a predictable funding source to help pay for the cost of the project so that you can move forward and make a needed infrastructure upgrade and improvement to the customer experience without, as I said earlier, sort of competing with other very important capital priorities. Finally, the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, recent federal funding bills, have pumped a significant amount of money into pre-existing programs. One major program is the WaterSmart grant. The WaterSmart grant is a Bureau of Reclamation grant that can cover up to $5 million or 50% of the cost of a project. Metering projects are a major recipient of this grant. And we do feel that Fillmore is very well positioned to obtain this grant award. They are competitive, so it is all about putting a compelling application together. Again, included in this contract under consideration are multiple mechanisms that we believe will make that application more competitive, and Willdan will support the city and help the city populate that with the information we've collected as part of this process. I mentioned that there is a process to validate each year that the benefits are being achieved. This is what we call a measurement and verification. This is data that can also be used to help with water loss reports with the state. It also can go in and make the grant administrators very happy because it gives them the data that proves the benefit of their program and the dollars that they're sending out. So we believe that you're far more likely to obtain federal funding for this because of that. So in summary, we do feel that, as I showed on the previous slide, that the project is financially sensible on its own merits, but there's a significant opportunity to further improve the financial standing of the utility by pursuing the WaterSmart grant through this as well. So that concludes my presentation. Are there any questions?
Any questions from council?
Yeah, you mentioned the customer portal that would be a part of this. Would that be a replacement of the current water bill payment portal that we have, or would it be in addition?
Supplemental. So today, your billing system is like most billing systems, it's fairly rigid. It's really just designed to take in consumption and send a bill out. This system will sit on top of that and communicate back and forth, providing the additional capabilities. And so there's a significant benefit in that it doesn't wreak any havoc by coming into place. You don't have to replace your existing system. It's supplementary.
I was also wondering about the leak detection. What is the mechanism that a city would use to not just identify, but then deal with the leaks, and what does that process look like? And you talked about customer complaints usually drop, and I can think of a few cases in relatively new builds with small leaks that you're fortunate to catch. But what does that look like, and what are the typical procedures for that?
So when it comes to customer leaks, so there's essentially you can divide leaks into two places. There's utility side and customer side. When it comes to customer side leaks, the system essentially takes in historical billing information from your billing system, the consumption information, and it looks at what's happening, and it can determine from this has been installed millions of times, it can determine, hey, something is odd here. It doesn't match up with their historical usage. They should take a look. For instance, any typical residence is going to have periods of zero usage. If there's a leak, the system will notice, hey, this place has not gone to zero for multiple days, and it'll notify them. And that is actually the responsibility of the customer to fix. However, your utility staff will receive this notice as well, so they can push out updates as part of that. When it comes to the utility side leaks, essentially what it does is it allows your utility staff to see how much water is going where and when over in total. So basically using algorithms, it can help them determine where leaks are most likely taking place. So as you've probably seen in a lot of cities, there's a leak and you start digging up streets and you find out you dug a hole and the leak isn't there, it's somewhere else. So that's what it does, is it helps to shrink the area and it helps your staff more quickly identify where those leaks may be taking place.
The leak detection is just then used for identification. It would still include like somebody going physically to the house to shut it off.
Correct. I mean,
so that there would be some kind of coordination, not just an email necessarily to the customer, but like an actual person there.
Correct.
To walk them through at least the situation.
And so one of the things to think about is that previously you have staff allocated to, like I said, every single month walking through and opening every single pit in your city. Now you have staff that are more able to proactively respond to issues like that.
Other comments, questions?
Nope.
I just want to make sure that our community understands the totality of this project. So first of all, this is a situation where the water meters at the homes are all going to be replaced. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And it'll give each homeowner the ability to monitor their water to a much greater precision than what we've done before by simply looking at our water bill and saying, gee, it looks higher than it was last month. And then the tracking, we can track it on our phones.
Mm-hmm.
If that's correct. We can monitor it. And then what is your best estimate for the time? First, when would the project start? When would they start being installed? And how long before you think the city would be completely converted over to this system?
So as soon as we receive the notice to proceed from your staff, we could actually be installing within 4 weeks. So the material is, not committed to, but it is pre-positioned, so it is readily available. That was actually part of the staff decision on what to select. And then the implementation would be done within 6 months. So within 6 months, essentially, or 7 months, I guess, if you include the 4 weeks, sort of at the high end, you'd be looking at having the full system in place with customer access to the customer portal across the entire city.
And then I apologize for being nitpicking about this, but from a residential standpoint, what can a resident expect as far as the installation in their own home or their own property?
So the meters are located almost entirely in pits out on the street of the corner. So essentially what they can expect is that with 1 to 2 weeks before, they will receive an email and letters in the bill notifying them that this is going to happen. 1 week before, they'll receive a door hanger, which will say, and it'll be bilingual, and it'll say, hey, this is going to happen on this date, somebody's going to come by, and your water will be shut off for roughly 10 to 20 minutes while the technician replaces the meter. And it happens it's going to happen during typical business hours, Monday through Friday, so many people won't even notice that this is taking place. But the day that they come, they will knock on the door to make sure that it is acceptable for the interruption in service, especially in case there's any kind of health issue or any kind of reason that it may not be appropriate. And then following that, they'll leave another door tag after the implementation or installation, letting them know that it's happened and that, providing contact information for anybody they can reach out to.
Is there any required training or anything? Like, I'm thinking especially with regard to trying to track your bill on your cell phone or the water usage on your cell phone. I mean, where's that training come in at?
It is a relatively straightforward system, but essentially once you log on to the portal, there are training guides and videos available that you can click on in the portal so that they can learn more about the capabilities. Included in all of this package and everything, and this is for the 20 years of this system, they have unlimited customer support. So the people who essentially, there's one company that they develop the actual cellular hardware, and they're the ones who run the system. And they're a data company, and so they have customer service staff available around the clock.
Mayor, can I ask a question too?
Sure.
Just thought something. When you're talking about the customer service, it got me thinking. I know you said the door hanger will be bilingual, but is customer service, is the helpline also have a Spanish-speaking person? Will the app at all be translatable?
Yes.
Spanish, all of that.
Yeah, well, yes, the customer service definitely, and I believe that the application essentially can be translated, just like, you know, you can
Like through a
essentially
Google,
translate
how you
anything
can kind of
else.
pick your language sort of thing?
Exactly.
Okay, that's great to hear.
Because it is done through the browser.
Okay, excellent, thank you.
Okay, any other questions, comments?
Okay, I'll make a motion that the city council approve staff recommendations 1, 2, and 3.
Okay,
Troy, did you have a presentation, or did you have?
Well, I wanted to wrap
Okay.
up.
I'll wait.
That's fine.
he thinks he's still mayor.
I'll wait.
No, you can stay here. No, I wanted to wrap up and remind you that we've met with the ad hoc committee. We've taken the recommendations through that. We've done outreach to the public. We've received some comments there, and we've established some community engagement as well. So as this process has unfolded, there's been, points of contact along the way with different individuals on the council. And, one of the largest benefits, at least for me, is that we are required every year to do a water loss audit report. And this, having a system like this makes that run a lot more smooth. We are also required to, every year, identify the actions we've taken to reduce water loss. And being able to, point to something like this certainly carries a lot more weight than saying, hey, we just went out and fixed a bunch of leaks in the road. So,
Great.
anyway, with that, the recommendation is to authorize the city manager to execute the water energy savings performance contract in a form approved by the city attorney, as well as the other two items, as Mark has already adjusted.
Do I need to redo my motion?
Need a second. You need a second.
The only thing I might add is
Do I,
that,
do I need a motion, or do I need another?
yeah, I appreciate the community engagement and getting to this process. I think, and especially just based on the experience we've had, even just with the districting with elections, which was a very multiple meetings, all of that. The community, I think, needs more engagement to understand it. I think especially when you consider this would be the second change within a year time span of our water system and rates. So, and again, hopefully for a good benefit, but I would like to propose that we make sure we continue within that 6 months of the implementation, and then probably a little bit to the right of that as well, the community engagement and preparation to understand, they don't get the door hanger and then be like, well, wait, what is this, especially as an avid DIYer, I know not all installs go smoothly. So there's going to be one-off issues. And so to also then consider how the city's going to deal with a broken pipe that we can't get parts for until, a day later, and somebody's stuck without water for a day. So that I think, again, part of the community engagement, how we're going to deal with those issues so people are ready for it.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. So do we have any suggestions from staff on?
I would make sure that our staff stays engaged with the community, with the customers, the door hangers. As we've talked about, the information on the door hanger, we'll have a city point of contact on. We'll make sure that the folks who have typically gone out and done the meter reading will also be available to go and engage with the customers to help them walk through the portal.
And one more thing, Mayor, once we get the schedule, we will put up on social media, we'll put up on our city webpage as well. We'll also have the information on every water bill that comes out from that point forward, so people get the information. We'll also talk about at city council when it starts going into place, just to keep people up to date. If they have any questions, they can always notify us to help them out.
And if I can add to your point about pipe breaks, that is a possibility. Doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen. The pipes can be old. And so the crews that are actually installing will have the materials necessary to fix those when they happen.
Thank you.
Good to know. Okay, do I have a motion? Will you repeat it, please?
You gonna make me? I make a motion that City Council approves staff recommendations 1, 2, and 3.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second the motion, just making sure that we include that additional community outreach.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second that includes adding community outreach to that. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, this motion passes. Thank you so much, both of you. We are now moving on to item 8F, authorizing hiring Columbia Capital Management LLC for municipal advisory services, appropriate funds from water reserve funds, and permit city staff to initiate tax-exempt lease financing process in relation to the advanced metering infrastructure project. I have no idea what that meant, but go ahead.
Basically, for 8E, we need money in 8F. So good evening, council members. Mayor Brogy. I'm Deborah Cavaletto, Finance Director. With council's prior approval of item 8E, staff is requesting item 8F, approval of resolution number 23-3967 for the following. Authorize the city manager, assistant city manager, or city finance director to execute a contract with Columbia Capital Management LLC as our municipal advisor for the advanced metering infrastructure project. Allocate additional appropriations of $55,000 from the water fund reserves to cover the cost of these services. Approve the administration finance team to initiate the tax-exempt lease financing process, and to bring back financing documents to City Council for final approval. Due to the turnaround time of the water meter removal project, city funding needs, and lower issuance costs, staff and the council of the ad hoc utility committees selected private placement, or what they call tax-exempt leasing, as a financing structure. With the Columbia contract, the evaluation and funding process can begin. As stated in past, staff has recommended additional $55,000 to be appropriated for the fund for the contract and other possible out-of-pocket expenses. This item meets the following City Council's goal in the areas of fiscal management, financial resources, smart growth, and infrastructure. This is the end of my presentation. I am available for questions.
Okay, I will turn it over to council. Any questions, comments?
Go ahead.
No, I don't have any. Go ahead.
Maybe just one question. There's a lot of technical, information there. I don't want to say dumb it down, but can you just kind of, in a nutshell, explain how this contract integrates with the advanced metering? Like, what role then do they play outside of Wildan?
For them, they will actually go to financial institutions and get the best tax-exempt leasing contract that we can. And if there isn't, again, any issues with the funding, they'll come back to let us know. But of course, we can't start the project without, of course, the funding. And one nice thing, as mentioned in the prior agenda, if the smart meter grant does come into play, that can offer us an opportunity if we place the expense, let's say the leasing's $5 million, and we get that money from the grant, we can then apply it directly. Your payments will be the same, but you would then be able to end it sooner.
And they're presumably on those kinds of things. I'm not super familiar with that type of funding, but they have minimal, if not any, like early payment penalties, that kind of stuff. We wouldn't be facing unnecessary costs there.
No, we will not. They will not have a prepayment. We're ensuring that there is no prepayment penalty. That's one of our things.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, then I will entertain a motion.
Okay, I'll move that we approve Resolution 23-3967, authorizing the city manager, assistant city manager, finance director to execute the contract with Columbia Capital LLC Also, allocate additional appropriations of $55,000 from the Water Fund Reserve. And number 3, permit the administration and finance team to initiate the tax-exempt lease financing process.
I second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Hearing none, this motion passes. Okay, moving on to item 8G, introduce by first reading ordinance number 23-960 to amend Fillmore Municipal Code, Chapter 6.16, flood damage prevention. Turn it over to staff. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Broggie and esteemed council members, Mayor Pro Tem Gorola. Yes, so this item is introducing first reading of ordinance 23-960 for updating of various provisions of the Fillmore Municipal Code, which is chapter 6.16, our floodplain ordinance for compliance with federal law pertaining to the National Flood Insurance Program, what we call NFIP. And here I go with my acronyms. You know, I have all the acronyms for you guys, right? So, the National Flood Insurance Program started back in 1968. It's basically there to manage and administer. It's managed and administered by FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, yet another acronym. And FEMA oversees the NFIP program to provide an insurance alternative to disaster assistance to meet the escalating costs of repairing damage to buildings and other contents caused by floods. So if you live in a floodplain or an area prone to flood damage, then you have to carry this insurance. And we have ordinances in our Fillmore Municipal Code that implement the ordinance that is required through FEMA and the NFIP. Well, FEMA is updating their model floodplain ordinance right now, and they've reached out to all the cities, reviewed our ordinances against this incoming update ordinance, as well as some other things that they've done in the local creek systems, and given us a thorough, you're in compliance here, but once this adopts, you're not going to be in compliance here, here, and here. And so by adopting this ordinance update now, and it's largely like adding, revising, deleting old definitions, because our floodplain ordinance was originally adopted in 1988. It was last updated in 1998. So it's been a little bit, and it's kind of time, and there's some outdated language and definitions missing and a little bit of new statutory language. And basically by adopting these changes tonight, we'll have a second reading in the first meeting in January, and then it takes 30 days to become effective. So we would have our updated ordinance effective sometime in February in advance of the new model ordinance that FEMA's adopting, because that's expected to become effective in March at the soonest, possibly April. So this will keep us in compliance, and we won't be out of compliance at any point, because if we're out of compliance with the adopted ordinance, then we could be dropped from the National Flood Insurance Program. So that would be bad. So we're trying to avoid that. And so we've, received help from various agencies at FEMA. They reviewed our ordinance. They gave us pretty specific direction on what needed to be updated, and we've gone through it with the city attorney's office and recommend these changes be made to our ordinance. I think the primary, we have updated definitions of substantial loss, and we have a new section being added about parking RVs in the floodplain, basically saying that they can't be permanently hooked up or modified with structures. They have to be able to be driven away from the floodplain if they're there. And then we're adding the language regarding the letter of map change is probably the other significant. And again, since 1998, when there was the appeal system to today, they have what they call the LOMC. Here I go with my acronyms, which is a letter of map change. And an LOMC is a general term for a number of different things you can do to change the map, LOMC, map change. And that could include an LOMA or a LOMA, which is a map amendment, or LOMR, which is a map revision, a letter of map revision, or a letter of map revision -F, which is a letter of map revision based on fill, which is actually something that's been under moratorium recently. And we could go on and on and on, but we're adding all of those lovely definitions and how those processes work and information about how to get to them on
FEMA mapping center into our floodplain ordinance. So that concludes my report. I'll answer any questions.
Any questions for staff?
Does the definition in RV, it's exclusive to, let's say, mobile homes, correct?
We're adding the definition of recreational vehicle to the definitions and then adding the section about recreational vehicles, and it is very specific about what a recreational vehicle is entailed. And it mentions that if the RV is permanently hooked up or has structure added to it such that it doesn't meet the new section criteria for RV, then it would fall under a mobile home estate, and it would be treated as a mobile home. If they direct connect to sewer and water and they're not mobile anymore, now they're a mobile home, and they have to follow by those ordinance standards.
Okay. Yeah, I guess just considering where the most likely areas that would be affected by this, and RV storage lot right next to mobile home in a general vicinity over there in East Fillmore, do we have any idea whether this might immediately affect somebody on that storage lot? I don't know of any, but I'm just curious whether we do know of any permanent connections there.
Yeah, there shouldn't be, because that's storage, not using it, living in it. And normally and it's basically making the differentiation between a mobile home and a recreational vehicle by how they're attached or not attached, and how, like it says, a recreational vehicle has to be able to quick disconnect and drive away. Otherwise, it's a mobile home, and if it's considered a mobile home, it has to meet all of those standards.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else? Okay, I just had one quick question. I had just out of curiosity, but where it says the city's flood damage ordinance dates back to 1988 and was last updated in 1998.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering, it says it included Sesame Creek and Santa Clara River. Why did it not include Pole Creek?
Oh, that's the FEMA's doing the study on Pole Creek and Santa Clara River on their cycle, which actually they're several years behind on that, but they're not doing the Pole Creek study right now, and that's a flood insurance rate study or an FIS flood insurance study that's driven by FEMA and not by the city, and Pole Creek isn't being studied right now by FEMA.
So it's not that it's not looked at all, it's just it's not included in this evaluation.
In this evaluation cycle, correct.
Okay, great.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Okay, then I will entertain a motion.
I move to approve ordinance number 23960, an ordinance of the City of Fillmore, or City Council of the City of Fillmore, California, updating the city's flood control regulations.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Hearing none, this motion passes. Thank you. Okay, moving on to item 8H. Review of fiscal year 22-23.
It's been a long night for me.
Development impact fee.
Yeah, I made the motion.
Annual and 5-year report in consideration of resolution number 23-3978, making findings regarding unexpended development impact fees. I'll turn this one over to staff.
Say approved 233978 would be done. Good evening, council members. Again, Mayor Brody, I'm Deborah Cavaletto, Finance Director. Item 8H has staff requesting a review and file of the FY 22-23 Developer Impact Fee Report and adopt Resolution 233978. Make the findings required by state law to allow a city to retain these unexpended DIF funds that were collected over 5 years or more. The code 66,000 authorizes public entities such as the City of Fillmore to establish and collect DIF to fund the cost. Oh. Really want to? Yeah, okay. If you're like, okay.
Thank you, Mary.
There we go. Thanks. Thank you. Severance section 66,000 authorized public entities such as the City of Fillmore to establish and collect DIF funds and or DIF to fund the cost of new and upgraded public facilities needed as a result of new development. The city has 10 categories of DIF as described in the staff report and the DIF report, as well as various methods used to calculate the amount of DIF. The most recent update was in 2019. However, on September 12, 2023, Council approved the agreement with Wildan Financial Services to prepare a new DIF study. The study is to establish the relationship between the impacts of the new development and the needs of the cities to be able to accommodate this projected growth. Additionally, the public entities, we need to report this fee yearly within 180 days after the year of the end of the fiscal year. So when you make these findings to identify them, you impose the fee and a regional relationship, such as the fee that we are charging to be able to process for the different type of infrastructure and or other costs that we're looking for capital. And once this is allowed, we can carry them as said before forward. The amount of our unexpended over 5-year fund is approximately $2.7 million. This meets the City Council's goal of the area of financial management. This is the end of my presentation. I'm available for questions.
Turn this over to council. Any questions or comments?
Just because I didn't quite hear you at the end there, the total amount, was that did you say the 37 million collected or?
Oh, approximately 2.7 million.
Sorry, okay.
That's over 5 years.
Yes. Yeah, I know. That's what I thought I heard, but nope.
Oh, wow, that'd be great. But of course, you have to spend it too.
Anyone else? I think just one quick point of clarification, just for my own curiosity here. On the chart on page 4, or three of your report.
Okay.
We have the fire substation, which I'm assuming is the actual structure itself.
It's
And
that
further
that
down, we
stone.
have public facilities, fire. And we have diff fees for, can you differentiate between those two items? They're both fire related, but.
For which one again? The fire for 401?
Yeah, 401 and 409.
401 is, if I recall, is for the Hearthstone area for the substation.
Okay.
And then for the other is for other public facilities of fire that we can use around the city.
And I believe it's broken down a little bit further down the report, 9 of the report. It looks like item 401, this fire substation has a few more of those items broken out.
Just in the
They're
report
kinda
on
helpful.
page 3, it has a description of each of the funds.
Okay,
It's a lot of numbers.
I know there are. Okay, so any other questions, comments?
The only other one that I saw that was kind of like a pass-through was, and correct me if there are more, was for the library, correct? We collect and then we push
Correct,
that to the
yes, that one
county.
is, yes. We collect it and then it passes through to them.
Okay, and there's nothing essentially in our own funding that goes direct to the library necessarily. It goes to the county and they distribute it to the library system. Yeah. Okay.
And then I just wanted to add too that I've been hearing about diffs and knowing that diffs come through, and again, for the public, help me out here. The development impact fee that we get from developers when something's being built, correct? And I always know that they're occurring as a development is coming in, but it's so great to see. I don't think I've seen this detailed of a report before, and this is, I'm going to hang on to this. I think this is, of course, it'll change periodically, but it provides great detail. So a lot of work went into this, and I appreciate that.
And this is also, was also for public notice, so people in the public could have come in and reviewed it as well.
Oh, good, okay. Good to know. Okay, so do I have a motion on this?
I'll move that the City Council review the development impact fee, income and expense report information for FY 22-23, the DIF report. We received comments, and after considering any comments received, provide city staff with any direction deemed appropriate, and receive and file the DIF report. And also approve resolution number 23-3978, making the findings required by state law with respect to a portion of DIF funds that are unexpended and were collected over 5 years ago to accept the DIF report.
Okay, do I have a second?
I second.
A motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, we will pass this motion. Thank you. Thank you. Done deal. Okay, moving on to item 8I, and still with Deborah. Adoption of the fiscal year 24-25 recognized obligation payment schedule, ROPS, for the period July 1, 24 through June 30th, 25, and the administrative budget for the City of Fillmore successor agency.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair and members of the Successor Agency Board of Directors. I'm Deborah Cavaletto, Finance Director. Staff recommends for item 8I, the approval of the attached Recognized Obligation Payment Schedule, or ROPS, and the administrative budget. Authorize the Executive Director, who is the City Manager, or his designee, to submit the ROPS and administration budget for the period of July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025 for review and approval by the Ventura County Consolidated Oversight Board and the California Department of Finance. In addition, authorize the Executive Director or his designee to make any changes needed directed by what they call VCCOB or DOF. By law, successor agencies must prepare and adopt an annual ROPS schedule listing all the obligations of the former development agency. Staff has created the ROPS along with the yearly budget for the administrative costs, which, if approved this evening, will be submitted to the Ventura County Oversight Board. And then they will go on January 24th, 2024 to approve. The total budget that we're requiring for our agency is $3,736,326. The amount will pay for debt services outstanding, other related costs, and the $83,576 admin budget. Once approved, the following occurs. Our agency staff submit it to the Department of Finance by February 1st. The final determination by the Department of Finance will be April 15th. Budget amendments can be requested by VCCOB or the DOF in October and November. So the budget we present, we go through, they can then come back later and say, let's look at some modifications. And then in accordance with the ABX1 26, they ensure that we have enough property tax revenues to be able to make our required debt payments, as well as honor other financial obligations and our admin costs to be made whole. This meets the city and successor agency goal in the areas of financial management. This is the end of my presentation, and I'm available for questions.
Okay. Council, comments or questions?
You did mention that the board can request modifications. Do
Yes,
you know whether we have had that request anytime in the past?
I believe it was 2 years ago. I can't quote me, but I recall seeing paperwork that the Department of Finance, before the April 15th, came back and decided that our admin costs were too high for the amount of properties that we have, even though we went through the process of showing all our costs we do. I mean, we attend these meetings. Every meeting that opens up for the successor agency must be costed, as well as anything collecting, working with legal, also well as planning when they're trying to sell off these properties, or anybody that comes in and says, I am interested in buying a property. So they did have an adjustment. So over the years, we have adjusted down, but however, with the 3 properties, 2 with many mansions, if I remember their name correctly, yes, many mansions, that was part of 2 properties, and we do have a 3rd property that possibly being looked at. So those are properties that we say, hey, we have costs with legal, title, planning and research, any information that we need, and costs. So our goal is trying to recover everything.
About how many properties do we have left? I mean, we only have a handful.
I believe it's 3 properties left. There's the 2 for the many mansions, and then there's 1.
510 Santa Clara.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we're running out of them.
Yeah.
That's
finally.
Yes.
I mean, do you see any end in sight? It seems, I just feel like this has been going on at least
20 years.
It hasn't been 20.
What occurs with the ROPS?
Well, since 2012, when dissolution happened.
Right.
So 510 Santa Clara is the last one that we're trying to find a buyer for. There's a man who's been talking to Kevin off and on about it. It's just an unusual size property, and there's some constraints with some of the situation on its side. And like a wall that might fall down and some things that scares people. But we're hopeful that we can make something work, hopefully this year.
Okay, hopefully. Thanks.
And if those properties are sold, we still have bond obligations. So those bond obligations will mature on 6/2031. And if we have everything closed, it'll probably be 2032 or 2033 when we can finally go and ask for, I believe, the dissolution of the agency. So you'll be seeing me here for how many more years?
I won't be here.
I would just be curious, how many other cities are still holding on to properties? I think a lot?
Not too many have properties, but a lot have bonds.
Okay. Okay, so any questions, other comments from staff?
Nope.
Did I already ask that? I have a motion.
I'll move that the council, well, I just want to make sure I'm on the right page, approve the attached ROPS and administrative budget and authorize city manager designee to submit the ROPS. And also authorize the executive director of the agency or his designee to make any changes as directed by the oversight board or Department of Finance.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you. Okay. Item 8G, and this, why does 8J, why does it, oh, I read Dave Rollins was presenting, but your name's on there also. Go ahead. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, hello, good evening again. It's kind of fitting that this item is on the agenda as the last item on the new business. And it's on what is today's my 1-year anniversary being here with the city. And this project has largely defined a lot of my efforts here. So,
Can I just clarify the comment? I mean, Troy is saying that because as soon as he was a new hire, the C Street sewer system went out, and that's what he has been working on since he was hired. So 1-year anniversary.
So the project is obviously done. It's been accepted by Caltrans. It's been accepted by FEMA. And what this item is really a reconciliation after the final invoices have been submitted. We had final invoices from Ferrera, and those invoices totaled about $23,000 more than what was authorized under previous amendments. And then with the Toro contract, there was items that we had disputed during, for the last several months. After negotiating with them pretty sternly, we got them to drop their invoice total by about $80,000, and that gets us to the total, but which is still over the amount by about $50,000, or was it 80? Yeah, $83,000 over what was previously authorized. And so this item is just reconciliation. Asking for you to approve the third amendment to the city's contract with Ferrera, the second amendment with the city's contract to Toro, and appropriate the additional funds for these contract amendments as further described, so that we can, once these are approved and we can get these invoices paid, then we can actually submit to FEMA for reimbursement.
Okay, great, thank you. Any questions from council?
This is more administrative cleanup. I just realized on the printed agenda that I have, this item is not on there.
Me neither, but.
Yeah. I approved the agenda with the intent that this would be on there, and I don't know if it's just a matter of what got published to the website versus what was sent to.
It's actually on the website. I think we had, before it was sent, we had to make an adjustment. So what you received on the email should have been this, but the actual website has this item on the agenda.
Okay, thank you. I know that would have been awesome for you, but.
I was actually scrambling around looking for it on my agenda. I'm like,
It's on my agenda. Electronic agenda.
Yeah.
Okay.
The one I printed was out of date.
Okay. All right. So any other questions or comments?
I guess to your last comment about this would be the last item to be able to complete the application to FEMA and Cal OES.
Yeah, so we've already begun that process and inputting the invoices and the contracts and everything in to the PA grant system for FEMA. We do need to include all of the updates and amendments to the contracts as well as all of the invoices. They've submitted invoices to us that we can't load until we can pay them, and we can't pay them until they're approved and authorized. So being able to approve this item allows us to kind of move forward and complete that process with FEMA.
And to just make it very clear to the public, you've taken potentially $10 million project and reducing that, hopefully through this process, reducing that cost down to less than 700,000.
Correct.
Okay. I think we know how I'm going to vote.
That's amazing, yeah. It was just in time before the next rains start. So,
You hoaxed us.
okay, so any other questions, comments?
You hoaxed us.
My apologies. We're getting punchy. So then I will ask for a motion.
Okay, I'll move that the City Council, 1, approve the third amendment to the city contract with Ferrera, 2, approve the second amendment of the city contract with Toro, and 3, appropriate additional funds for these contract amendments as further described in the fiscal impact.
I second.
The motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, we will pass this motion. Thank you very much. Okay, so that concludes all of our agenda items as far as the reports are concerned. Moving on to item, no, yes, we do. Item 9, committee, commission, and board reports.
Yes, Mayor, I do have several.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see here. I attended the Ventura County Regional Energy Alliance Energy Champions meeting in the middle of November. I do have a couple of updates on this one. There's funding opportunities. You know, the Ventura County Regional Energy Alliance is sort of an umbrella group where all the cities and the county are a part of. And in fact, the Energy Alliance also is part of a larger umbrella network of the tri-counties of Ventura, Santa Barbara, and San Luis Obispo. So the Energy Alliance requested $12 million for the county for electric vehicle charging. They want to get 142 level 2 charging stations across the county and 48 DC, which is the fast charging stations. And so they requested $12 million, waiting to hear until the end of the year about that. They also, part of this money would be electric vehicle outreach to historically marginalized communities. So I'm hoping that they do get these funds, of course, and that portion of these are brought to Fillmore. Let's see, they also have requested $5 million, let's see here, for 48, 49, 50, somewhere around there, charging stations at 17 multifamily housing sites. I don't know the specifics of any of them are in Fillmore, or if they plan to be, but I do hope so. And also electric vehicle outreach to multifamily property owners and tenants. So also waiting until the end of the year to find out about those funds. They have an upcoming grant opportunity for community resilience, anywhere between $100,000 and $5 million, and they're looking for the planning and implementation to reduce the impacts of extreme heat and build community resilience. The what does NOFA stand for again? The notice of sort of when I think a grant application is put out to the public to see if folks want to apply. I forgot the acronym. Is happening between January and March. And again, I hope to be in contact with them and share with our city more information, see how Fillmore can, especially around the extreme heat and resilience planning, if we can get some of those funds, or at least be part of the application process for that. They also discussed climate pollution reduction grants, and they discussed that larger tri-county umbrella area alliance that they call 3C REN, and it counts for it means the 3-county regional energy network. This helps, their focus has been on building professionals and training them around energy code compliance, helping households to become more energy efficient. But now, and this probably has a bigger impact for our area in Ventura County, they're also reaching out to ag, commercial, and private sector, again, just to do more around the area of being energy smart. So that is one, that's the Ventura County Regional Energy Alliance update. Next, I was on a Zoom with Southern California Edison, and as being part of their government advisory panel. They continue to move toward clean energy by 2045, and so they're really dealing with what does this mean for the grid. And there's 80% growth in this area, and they were really informing us about all of the work that they're doing to fortify the grid, to update the grid, to spend money on these updates to move to clean energy. Regarding wildfire risk, let's see here, over 5,200 miles of covered conductors Edison has done. They've done 2 million tree trims, shrub removals, and this has led to an 85% reduction in catastrophic wildfire risk over the last 5 years. So they were really glad to present that to all the cities, counties. This was sort of like a whole Southern California Zoom call that I was on, and saying that this is a big deal. That in the last 5 years they have moved really strongly in this direction. Of course, reducing the use of the public safety power shutoffs, and so it was a good call. So I just wanted to sort of share that information there. I did ask, and I wanted to make a point of this one, about their green rate program. And so at this time, Southern California Edison has no plan to reopen the green rate program. Back last year in August of 22, they filed a petition with the California Public Utilities Commission to approve interim resources to satisfy the increased need. There's like a really long wait list for folks, Southern California Edison customers, who want to be part of the green rate program. And also it's an individual, someone would need to sign up and basically be the proactive person to be part of the green rate program. So they have a long wait list. However, there's no movement there. They've petitioned the CPUC. The decision is still pending, and even if the petition is approved, which they don't have any sign of that happening, it would take at least a few years to bring a facility online to even restart the Southern California Green Rate Program. So I say that all in that we've talked about energy, we've talked about our residents, we've heard from Southern California Edison, we've heard from Clean Power Alliance, but in terms of the Green Route program, there's no movement on that. So I look forward to maybe having this discussion again in the new year and seeing about our green rates. Okay, thank you.
I have a question just about, I think it was probably when you were presenting about the VCREA.
Yeah.
Did they discuss whether there's funding to address issues with extreme cold? Now, obviously, that's not as frequent here, but we see, especially amongst homeless population, that cold can lead to misuse of fire materials. I was just curious whether they had any addressing of cold environments as well.
Cold. No, but I can follow up with the CRA.
Yeah, I think the heat gets talked about a lot, but a lot more people suffer from injuries from cold, and it's harder to adapt to that, I think, than the heat. So I think it'd be good for them to look into that.
Okay, yeah, great. I'll be in contact with them. Thank you.
Okay, any other reports? Okay, I do have two myself. This past Saturday, I attended a planning session from the Ventura County College District. And it all pertains to the placement of an educational facility in the Santa Clara Valley. And this is pursuant, going by way of background, in 2002, a bond was passed with the idea that it would fund some kind of educational opportunities to the Santa Clara Valley, Santa Paula, Fillmore, Piru. And those funds were diverted I think, in 2006. So there's been a lot of activity in the Santa Paula area about saying, hey, this was passed by the voters because we wanted the funds here. We wanted the educational opportunities for, our communities. So part of the problem has been that there's been a turnover in trustees on the College Board District. And there's finally a lot of activity going on now. They are pushing forward on this, and they're not going to let this drop. So this past Saturday, I attended this study session at the College District Camarillo. It was all the trustees, and there were probably about 40 other people there, mostly from Santa Paula. No one else from Fillmore there. But I want to put this on our radar because there's a lot of activity. We don't want it to slip by the wayside again like it did in 2002. There's going to be another study session coming up. There's not a date yet for it, but the trustees all agreed at the insistence of the attendees that were there at this workshop, at the study session, to have the next study session here in Santa Clara Valley instead of us having to go over to their boardroom at the College District in Camarillo. So that information will be coming out. I think it's really important that we get really active on this, and I want to see Fillmore really participate. I know that the school district's been involved. They've been communicating with the superintendent, but no one from the school district was there either at this meeting on Saturday. So anyway, I just want this on our radar because it's something that's really important. They're already looking at property, and one potential property is on the 126 at the Signal at Santa Paula, but nothing's definite on that yet. So on your radar. And I will keep everyone posted as well when I find out when the next study session date is. So I think that's really exciting. And then I just wanted to also comment, I attended the VCTC meeting that Tracy Stewart referenced during her public comment early on about the contract amendment with the Sierra Northern and VCTC that is requiring Sierra Northern to finally move the stored cars from Old Telegraph. And she referenced a lot of people in the neighborhood and in Fillmore and in the outskirts of Fillmore. And I want to make sure that we covered all the names of people that actually went to the VCTC meetings, which is schlepping over Grimes Canyon at 9 o'clock on a Friday morning, and attended repeatedly and spoke at these VCTC meetings to keep pushing and pushing. And had they not done that, those cars would not be moving. And at this point, they have to move by January 1st. But had they not worked hard and diligently to accomplish this, I was really proud of these Fillmore people. So, and I hope I don't leave anybody out, but we have Susan and Bob Jolly, Tracy and Avery Stewart, Kathy Liu, Tim and Amy Garola, Supervisor Kelly Long was there, Manny Meneras, who's Santa Paula, but he was very involved. And then all the VCTC commissioners, and I mentioned this, I think, at a previous meeting, but it's worth repeating. The VCTC commissioners are representatives, other council members and mayors and supervisors from all over the county, and they took this whole issue to heart and fought this on our behalf as though it was in their backyard. I mean, we had council members from Oxnard and Port Hueneme and that were fighting this issue for us and pushing this forward along with the neighbors that live in the vicinity. So kudos to all those that were involved in that. It was a great job, and I think a great example of a community really getting together and fighting for something that's worthwhile. So thank you. Anybody else?
Thank you, Carrie.
Carrie, I just want to make a comment. Thank you for your leadership on that. Just to repeat what they said. It's important.
I mean, I have a tendency to just get really angry when I'm dealing with people that are so uncooperative, but our local residents and the VCTC commissioners, they were fantastic. So, but thank you for that. Okay, so now I've lost my place. So no more reports or anything? Okay, so city manager.
Thank you. Last one for the year. Just a reminder that this week we have our holiday gift giveaway. And from the recommendation from the Cultural Arts and Recreation Commission, we're going to be doing new this year on December 15th, which is Friday, from 4 o'clock until 6 o'clock at the fire station. It's going to be for special needs children to come out there and receive a gift. And then on Saturday, December 16th, from 9 a.m. until noon at the fire station will be the regular holiday giveaway that we do annually. So this is the first time we're doing it for special needs, kind of have their own activity, not as crazy, if you will, so they have an opportunity to participate with us. The park updates, Two Rivers Park, we are currently have applied for an urban greening non-matching grant to replace the irrigation system for $4 million. That's the first step on the overall improvements for Two Rivers Park. To give you an example of the cost we're talking about to bring that park up to what we would look at as being acceptable playing fields. And the next step, if we do receive this irrigation system, we'll be able to take a look at doing lights at the ballpark. That's going to be another $2 to $3 million right there, because everything's going to have to be removed that was put in. New pads need to be put in, new wiring will need to be put in as well. So we're looking at that. So at the end of this project, which will be over the next 2, 3, 4 years, looking close to probably $10 to $15 million if we get grants to fund the improvements out there. That's the scope that the city council is talking about working on for that project. The dog park plans, we originally got them back in about 6 months ago with a $1 million price tag on it for a dog park. City council sent us back to the drawing board. We went back and reduced the cost down to an estimated $110,000 to $150,000. We have finally reviewed it and approved it at the staff level. We'll be going out for bids for the project. I anticipate doing that in mid-January. Shade structures for Tourist Park. The specifications have been posted on Planet Bids. We are asking that the proposals be received back by January 12th of 2024. Then we will schedule awarding the contract at a city council meeting in early February as the current plans. At Shields Park, we have closed the park up. As some of you may know, we're doing our annual maintenance. We're putting down new grass seed, repairing the ball diamonds. In addition, we're fixing the plumbing at the restrooms, removing stumps, removing dead trees, fixing the fencing, the batting cage, and if we have time before February, we're going to try to fix the rolling gates as well. In terms of community development block grant projects for our parks, we are anticipating applying for and have applied for repaving the entire parking lot and replacing the restrooms at Shields Park. We've also applied for replacing the restrooms at the Lower State Park. So we'll give you updates as we hear back on those current projects. And happy holidays, and that's all I have.
Thank you so much. We are going to temporarily adjourn to closed session, and we will back to,
No closed session.
My agenda says closed session. Oh, you're right, it doesn't say anything. Never mind. Then, what we will do, I will do, is adjourn the meeting then to our next scheduled meeting, which is on January 9th, 6:30 p.m., same location. Thank you.